Welcome to my library, dear guest. My name is Ko, and I will be your storyteller. Lean back and relax as I read to you today's story, titled How a Series of Small Things Add Up to a Problem Player, by the author, Gross Harpsichord. This isn't a huge horror story about one big event, but about how a bunch of small things and problematic behavior can add up to a nightmare at the table that ruins everyone's fun and kills a campaign. This happened over a year ago. Apologies for my inconsistent use of present and past tenses. The party is me, the bard, warlock, barbarian, and paladin, the problem player, and of course the DM. Everyone but me lives there, and I'm staying there for the summer. DM is experienced at D&D, but is new to DMing. Barbarian has played before, and for the rest of us, it's our first game. Things start out well. We enjoy playing our new characters and learning the game, and DM enjoys showing us her homebrew setting she's worked so hard on. The paladin has a kind of edgy backstory. His former master betrayed him and killed his family, so he's trying to hunt him down and take revenge with his oath of vengeance. Slightly edgy, but totally fine. He does a great job initially of playing a brooding character fueled by loss and his quest for revenge, and even has a cool accent he does for his character. Then, the cracks start to show. Paladin's player, out of character, is the type to always insert himself in every conversation and not read the room. So now Paladin in-game has to do that too. My bard and warlock are both quippy, irreverent characters that are always jokingly insulting one another and bickering and playing juvenile pranks on one another. And Paladin wants to do that too. So he inserts himself into this back and forth at every chance he gets. His character is also a big joker now. It would be fine if he wanted to change his characterization, but he inserts himself into every situation. He talks over other players at the table, and his character talks over other characters in-game. His character constantly makes bad jokes about 80s movies, and while my bard and warlock have a fun rivalry and give each other backhanded comments, Paladin is just kind of a dick while jokingly insulting other characters. The tonal dissonance is like whiplash when he makes a bunch of jokes in character, then immediately flips it around and does a 15-minute monologue about his pain and revenge, and how he misses his dead family. For the record, he was not intending on doing a character that hides their pain behind jokes. We specifically asked him that out of character. His answer was that a man contains multitudes, so his character can be super dark and broody and also constantly making movie jokes that make no sense in world. DM tries to steer him toward thinking about what his characterization is. During an extremely tense and serious moment, he hits on an NPC. The paladin, who is trying to avenge his dead wife and family, is just hitting on the captain of the city guard that is detaining us with extremely cheesy one-liners. DM asks the player if he actually says that or if it's a joke. Paladin doubles down. Later on, the night before the city expects to be invaded by a neighboring enemy state, Paladin spends 20+ minutes hitting on the NPC. We notice Paladin fudging his rolls. He does the classic roll really quickly and then pick it up and say the number maneuver. DM is new to DMing and doesn't want to call him out specifically, especially because Paladin's player is extremely bad at taking even mild criticism. A trait that was causing problems in their friendship/roommateship, but that's another story. So DM deals with his issues by instituting an open rolling policy, where everyone rolls into a tray in the center of the table. This fixes the issue of fudging rolls, but now instead of cheating, the paladin just visibly sulks and huffs and sighs every time he rolls poorly. Paladin has a major issue with being salty anytime someone gets something cool. He was the first to find a magic item, a super dope sword. Yet anytime anyone else finds something, he gets all sullen at the table, or makes passive-aggressive remarks about how he wished he had an item like that. He is terrible at being a paladin. Over the course of level 1 to 5, he never uses lay on hands to heal anyone but himself, never uses a buffing or healing spell on anyone other than himself, and for the majority of combat, he just runs in and does melee damage, but then gets very pissy when he misses or the barbarian does more damage than him in melee. He's visibly upset anytime anyone other than him gets a kill in combat. He's mad whenever my bard uses support spells on anyone other than him. At one point, he takes a big hit, and immediately after the barbarian takes a big hit. I momentarily blanked on the fact that I can use cutting words against the damage roll. So when I remembered, I used it in the damage barbarian took. Cut to Paladin passive-aggressively saying, "Wow, that sure would be great if you used that on me," and then making a second passive-aggressive comment about how I didn't help him when he heals himself on his turn. At one point, we have to delay the game start because the DM needs to explain to him that level 4 Paladin doesn't mean you get level 4 spells, and to show him the spell slot chart and explain prepared casting. Again. At which point he exclaims, "I hate this shit," referring to the process of learning his half-casting mechanics, which is incredibly rude and disrespectful to the DM who had just spent hours prepping for the session. Paladin would also constantly insert himself into other people's roleplay. You're having a serious RP moment concerning your backstory. There's Paladin, making jokes and talking over you. He would also constantly talk over the DM, interrupting her descriptions, speaking over her NPCs, or ask questions over her while she was mid-sentence. Any emotional or heartfelt or serious moment was ruined by him cracking dumb jokes or referencing a movie in character, destroying the seriousness of the scene and RP immersion. If you attempted to ignore him and keep going, he would just talk louder, so he's literally talking over you in volume and drowning out your RP with jokes until you engage with him. Eventually, our party went from a lot of roleplay to minimal roleplay, and just describing our actions rather than talking in character, because we knew a paladin would just talk over us otherwise. We were all constantly annoyed by Paladin, so anything any other player did, no matter how small of a mistake, became intolerably irritating. Everyone was constantly mad at the end of the sessions. No one knew how to deal with Paladin because any criticism towards him about anything would result in days of moping and being passive-aggressive. And no one wanted that because they lived together. So the campaign petered out. No big blow-up, no big fight, it just ended. This is maybe not the horror story climax anyone wanted, but I think this is the type of problem player most people deal with. Not some epic event or raging screamfest, just a lot of small, problematic behaviors that ruin the fun and end the campaign. This might not be the most interesting horror story, but I think everyone can relate to having one player that is ruining the fun for everyone else, while not knowing how to address the numerous small reasons it's happening. But the story ends happily. We all still love Dungeons & Dragons. The DM has learned that you can fix problems in-game and that you have to address them directly with players. I play in the DM's new campaign. The DM and Warlock play in the campaign the Barbarian DMs. I'm going to DM a one-shot for them sometime soon, and we're talking about reviving this long-dead campaign and our characters. Sans Paladin. And the story of why everyone's friendship with the Paladin ended is a story for another day, involving lying about COVID tests, scamming people out of bill money, and other things that make for more of a horror story than this one. And that was today's story. I hope you enjoyed your stay and that I will see you again soon. for there are always more stories to be shared.